Hello and welcome to the latest episode of It Looks Like We Made It. I'm Issy Howell and I'm joined by Managing Director and Creative Industry Expert Chris to talk all things video marketing. We are the father and daughter who run the video production company Howell Film, and each week we will be discussing all sorts like what happens behind the scenes in our projects, getting results from your video content, how to start using video in your business, and plenty more to come. We're always up for candidly conversing about creativity. On this episode, we are asking the question, what is your role as a client of a video production company? So without further ado, let's get started, and of course never miss an episode every Tuesday by giving us a follow or subscribe, as well as finding Howell Film on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter and LinkedIn. Let's go!
Let's go. Okay.
Season 2.
Season 2. Hello, everybody.
Yes. Where have we been?
Where have we been? Oh gosh, everywhere, everywhere and anywhere. Okay, so the roles and responsibilities of a client, or just the roles?
I think it's roles and responsibilities, because when you are providing a service as a creative business, there is obviously a lot of onus on the responsibilities of that creative business providing that service. But what about the people who are getting the service?
Yes. Well, I would argue, if I've got my sort of accountant head on, I would say, well, the role is just to give us all their money and leave us alone, and we'll just go away and produce something. Okay. In my kind of real world, not fantasy world head, is a partnership. Ultimately, it's not just a straight transactional relationship we have with our clients and anybody in the creative industry. Ultimately, it's a partnership. I mean, this goes deep because, of course, there's all sorts of factors here. Like, it's a unique industry, the creative industry, that you look for an opinion from those often least qualified to give it back to you. So you're the expert. You're the one with all the the tons of debt from university. You're the one who's worked for bugger all for trying to get a foot in the door in the creative industry, and you're really good, you're really talented, and then you go to someone and say, what do you think of my work? And they'd say, I don't like it. I'd like that bigger, please, and I'd like that in green and not in red. And then you go, okay, well, so I mean, maybe that's a whole different topic, and you've set me off. But sorry, I'm conscious I'm just rabbiting on. But from a video film production-y type side of things, it has to be a partnership, because ultimately if they just go make me a film, you're already on a back foot, because you've no idea what they want, and again I go back to what I said before. The role of a true creative professional is to tell them what they need as opposed to ask them what they want. And then, generally speaking, you meet somewhere.
Well, that's the thing. I think it's when because we have. I mean, everyone as customers plays a certain role, and there are expectations within that, I think, that are really important. But I think that's the thing. It's like you don't. If someone's painting your house, you can tell them what colour, but then other than that, you don't tell them what technique on how to paint it, because you kind of rely on them to bring their own paintbrushes and do their own thing. Yeah, that's a good analogy. Well, yes, thank you. But I think that's the thing with when you are working with a creative company, is to kind of allow them to do what it is that they do best, and the support that you can give only improves the product. So the more support we get from clients, the more clients are eager and involved and upbeat and ready for us and welcome us and try and make things accessible and more easy for us as a company where they can. That does definitely reflect in the content. So if you allow the experience to happen, you're positive about the experience, you're optimistic about the experience, it'll only look better in production. I think one of those productions where, say, for example, everything's working against us, we're not allowed to do anything, we're restricted, we can't achieve what we want to achieve, that means that the video won't achieve what it wants to achieve. And 100%. It has a massive knock-on effect on what you want to achieve. So by just being accommodating, by working in a partnership, you can guarantee that video is going to be a lot more successful in the long run.
100%. And also, I think that the other issue really is that you've got to be communicating your thoughts and what's gonna happen and what they're gonna see, because that's the other issue is that you can't just go away, make a film, come back and go, there you go, there's your film. you've got to explain to the customer kind of how the process works, all that pre-production stuff, which isn't very glamorous and and can be really, really time consuming, but it's really important. Even before you get to the storyboarding phase, if there's a storyboard or a shot list or however you've structured the project, it's really important that the client knows what it is you're doing, and as you say, how you shoot it. You don't get into like, oh, it's on camera X using lens Y, and it's we're doing this, that, and the other, because really that's what they've hired a professional for. But I think the tone, the feel, what they're going to receive, should blow them away, and that's what we strive for. But B, shouldn't come as a total surprise. They shouldn't go, oh, I wasn't expecting that. It has to be something that you've worked with them, and you've explained to them, and you've gone through the process right the way from the very start. And clients that don't want to get involved, believe it or not, end up being the most vocal when they're not when they're not thrilled or whatever. I mean, luckily that doesn't happen that often. So that's why we try. We always try to kind of reduce that by having that kind of collaborative hand-holding approach.
And we're also, I think that's the thing, is like when you are in any kind of, when you are providing a creative product, we've worked with clients in the past who are really into it and basically consider themselves their own Ron Howard and really want to get involved in that and are really upbeat about it and really want to be part of that production process because it's exciting to them. But to other people, it might not be that exciting. It might be more like, I'm just not interested in that. I'm going to let you get on and do it. So we kind of tend to try and we tread that line between working with some people who are really into it and really involved, and we have to kind of adapt how we work to open that curtain a little bit more. But then others, we're kind of left to sort of do our own thing, and both of them have their benefits.
But the point is, they have to be engaged at some point. They've simply got to be, because like I said before, you can't get into that surprise me with a film. You simply can't do that. And also, you've got to, often the work we do fits into a much wider creative offering anyway, so that if the film's going to sit in a website doing a role, delivering a message, or the film's going to be on a big massive screen in a museum or whatever, and it has to sit alongside other parts of the exhibition, it has to fit in. It can't just be kind of like a weird sort of slightly left field tool that's not cohesive and part of a wider creative agenda. And I think that's why it's all those little nuanced messages that the creative professional has to tease out the client. A brief is a weird thing, that it's kind of half spoken, half written, half kind of weird ether above your head thing. You there's no definitive sort of, right, this is what I want, this is how I want you to do it, and this is what I want to pay for it. Well, we know what they want to pay for it generally, but what I mean is that the process, the creative professional's role is to just tease that out, learn,
find the features, really. And I think that's the thing. And what's your advice, really, I suppose, for businesses like ours that end up in those situations with clients who, when they are very excited about what we could offer, then end up in that sort of stratospheric idea of thinking it like a feature film but might have a tighter budget, and trying to manage those expectations?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if you want a Pixar film, you've got to pay Pixar money. I know that sounds a bit kind of brutal, but ultimately most creative industry businesses, regardless of where they sat in the industry, generally work a pretty straightforward bums on seats kind of philosophy, whereby you've got costs. We're all here to earn a living, and that's how you figure out what to charge. And also there's real value. I mean, I'm not going to go all kind of Picasso on you, but the point here is that you're paying for 30 years of experience, you're paying for 10 years of experience, you're paying for 20 years of experience, you're paying for the tens of thousands of pounds worth of equipment that somebody somewhere in the creative industry has had to invest in. You're paying for the never-ending learning, the never-ending sort of knowledge-sucking machine that is working in the creative world. Yeah. So in a sense, just getting back to the what I said at the very beginning, it can't be purely just a transactional thing. There's something, which is why it drives people bonkers. Selling ideas. What kind of madcap idea is that? It's almost like at times the hardest thing in the creative industry is making it tangible. Yeah. It's like, oh, I've got this great idea. We could do this. What's that worth? And unless you've got a bigger story to tell and a wider narrative, then it's hard for some clients to buy into that. I mean, there are some other clients that go, yeah, we want to do this, and we've got the money, whatever, and that's great. Yeah. But ultimately, everything finds its level. But our role in the film, obviously for us in the film industry, but I speak from experience, working in other creative fields, is it's that thing which is, and I have been known to mention this in the past. People have a sixth sense for quality, and often they can't quite put their finger on what it is. So when you look at a high order film or a high order piece of artwork or a high order piece of graphic design, whatever it is, there's something about it that makes it look great and makes it really work, makes it a really pleasing thing to look at and be involved with. And that's what you're investing in. Because that's the other thing. I am on a rant here, but that's the other thing that I strongly believe in, is that it's an investment. It's not just a cost. It's not just a cost. It's an investment. It's, if you say to someone, tell me something about any business, generally they're going to say, oh, they refer to an advert. They'll refer to something they've seen on TV. They'll refer to something they've seen in magazines or online. And that thing they've seen, more often than not, is the product of a creative approach and a creative attitude. So that's why I always say you're investing in this. This is a tangible investment. It's not just it's a cost I don't really want to bear.
Well, I think that. Wow. That's all, folks. But no, I think that's a very interesting kind of perspective to have, really, because particularly when we're operating in a world where do-it-yourself technology, do-it-yourself filmmaking, and Reels, TikTok, all these different things that offer almost that present on the surface an opportunity that anyone anywhere with a phone, with Instagram, with TikTok can just crack on and make their own content. And that is absolutely true. But the moment that there is the technical elements that having that psychology of what audiences are watching, how they consume stuff, what they're engaging with, why they're engaging with it, goes beyond just being able to hit record. It's things like being a video editor. Your sole goal when you are editing a film essentially is to be as invisible as possible. If the client or the audience doesn't pick up on the edit and just is in a trance and just enjoys what's happening on the screen, you've done your job, because that what they're seeing fits and it works because they're consuming it. It's going in their minds and they're absolutely captivated by it.
It's one of those things where you only notice if it's done badly.
Exactly. Or if it's done intentionally, creatively, but generally you want to make sure that whatever's happening on the screen, the audience is just watching it for what it is. A bit like watching a magic trick. They're not necessarily sat there trying to see the sleight of hand. They're just there to enjoy the thing disappearing or reappearing. They're enjoying the experience of seeing something happen in front of them. And I think when you have access to these kind of tools like Reels, TikTok, they're very almost quite dangerous in effect, because even though if you know how to use them and you know how to do those magic tricks, if you will, your audience will be captivated. But if you don't have that, it can appear clunky. It can it won't have the effect that you want. And I get approached, particularly in editing training or video marketing workshops, is people go, I've tried Reels, I've made loads of them, I get 4 views. Why is that? And almost like process of them just making the film or making the little video is enough, and that's the box ticked. And it's like, well, that's not the case. And there's actually years of training, years of work, and working with different industries, building that narrative, understanding that is where it really comes together.
Brilliant. So here's a question.
Okay.
You as head of production here at Howell Film, and your team of editors and everything that happens in your studio area, what happens when a client says, "I'd like to come in and sit with you while you edit my film"?
Oh God!
Because I think I can give you really valuable and important guidance while you're doing it. What do you think of that?
I think, good luck to you. In you come. Have fun. Sit down. Because
they don't like it for long, do they?
It for long. Because until you've seen what an editing workspace looks like, until you've seen what actual professional video editing looks like, it looks scary. The moment you look at it, you go, "Oh my God, I can't be. That's not for me." Because that's when the curtain is lifted a little bit, and you realise really the amount of work that does actually go into it, and the amount of technical knowledge. But
that must help. That must aid when they do see that. Then that they suddenly go, "Wow, gosh,
yeah, absolutely."
There's a lot more to this.
I think that what I've had clients in the past wanting to come and see what it is that I'm doing, and then they stand over my shoulder, they look at it, and they go, "Oh yeah, you've got it under control," and then they walk away.
They go away,
But I think that's the thing, is like, we're used to quite basic tools, Reels, TikTok. These things are very, very, from an editing perspective, incredibly basic.
Yeah.
Like we're not shooting a 1 hour documentary and then I'm sat on my iPhone dragging the timeline along to try and trim it a little bit. There are a lot of tools. There's a lot of jargon. There's a lot of technical knowledge and, well, just general editing skills that go into it that you build up over time, that it is a literal skill. So if someone was sat over my shoulder, what they'd probably see is, I don't know what's going on, but I'll like the end bit.
Well, you guys watch everything at 3 times the speed anyway, which are on you spinning your little magic spinny wheels. I think that's incredible.
Well, that's it.
Do you find that you watch everything on normal TV? do you just sit and watch TV at 32 times faster?
Well, you do. There's odd skills that you gain when you're editing, which is things like I can see what people are saying by when they're saying it backwards, because I'm used to watching stuff backwards and forwards, so you can work out what words look like backwards. There's a lot of, but but that goes into my point that there are a lot of skills that come from being a professional in the creative industry. So
to round this up, we're saying clients need to be involved, should be involved, but they should be involved for their own responsibly.
Respectfully.
Oh wow!
They should be involved respectfully, in the sense that you want to get involved in a way where you respect what we're doing. I agree.
But what we're saying is we encourage the client to be part of the process because it's their money, it's their investment. However, we don't want them to do our work for us. We don't want them to give non-existent technical expertise back to us. And feedback needs to be broached in such a way as how it doesn't deliver on the original brief. If that's true, then we've got it wrong. We haven't done our work right.
Yeah.
If it's not true, then it's something else. They've moved the goalpost, or it's a different issue.
Yeah.
One other question then.
Okay.
What do you do when a client says, "I'd like all my raw footage, please"?
You say, what are you going to do with that? As my first question.
Because again, I love it when they say my favourite line. Oh God, it sounds like we're giving out. I don't mean to slag off our clients because they're all absolutely wonderful, amazing people, amazing organisations. But what I would say is, can you email me my raw footage? And we say, yes, we can, but there's 5,000 gigabytes of it, and none of it, and it's all uncoloured, totally uncompressed.
It means nothing.
It means nothing. And then again,
well, that's like going to a pizzeria and asking for a beef tomato and a ball of mozzarella rather than actually having a pizza made. Because
well, actually,
it's
like going to a pizzeria and asking for a ton of dough and 500 tomatoes, isn't it? Because essentially that's kind of what you end up with. That would be a great analogy. That's what we start with, and then what you end up with is a lovely pizza at the end.
Absolutely, and I think that is my thinking, which is that sometimes the reason why we do it for a living, the reason why we do it ourselves, is because we can't. There's certain things that you just, to the layman, if it's not your job, don't try and do it. I'm not like, okay. but if someone's building your house, you're not going to show up with a hard hat and a hammer and be like, right, here I am, I'm ready to build my house with you. You just let them build it, because there comes a point where it's just too much.
That's another great. That's I know we're going on a bit now, but that's another great analogy. That actually, DIY. Lots of people get involved with DIY. They do a great job. They install their own things. They build their own things, whatever. But ultimately, there's a reason people do that sort of stuff. For a living.
Well, that's it.
And the same probably applies to us, because we always come across people who say, yeah, well, we can do it ourselves. And we always say,
you can do
knock yourself out.
Knock yourself out.
You do it. We think everybody should be making films all the time.
Yeah, but the moment it feels daunting, the moment you feel overwhelmed, the moment you think this is too much, that is when you bring in a professional.
And generally, that getting back to my sixth sense thing, you can always tell. You can always tell when stuff's homemade. You can always tell it's too long. It's got weird stuff going on. It's always really, really dreary. So if it's really important, hire someone that knows.
Well,
what they're doing.
my final question. It's not a silly one, because I thought we'd kick off the season as a fairly serious one here,
go on then,
which is, what are your expectations as a customer of something?
My expectations of a customer of something.
As a customer, not of a customer.
What?
So you're the customer.
Okay.
What's your expectations?
Well, it depends, doesn't it?
Oh, no, here we go.
There you go.
Kicking off the season.
It depends. T-shirts are available. I think my expectations are probably quite cliched, really. I'd love to think that people care. That's all it is, really. I just want people to care. I want people to try their best, care, and what you're getting in return, whether it's a product or a service, meets or exceeds your expectations. And it doesn't matter if it's a food item on the fly and you go, oh God, that was rank.
Yeah.
Or you go, wow, that was lush. God, it's right from that right the way up to the buying experience of some big expensive thing. I don't know, like a car or like a like some big IT purchase. My main thing is people. They've got to care. People have just got to give a toss.
That's the thing. Like, because for me, it would be a positive attitude or positive energy. Just give off a positive energy.
Yeah.
Just, I think there's something. It sucks the energy away when you're just trying to buy something or you're trying to just do something, and the air is just sucked away by someone's negative energy. Just try and fake it till you make it. Put on a smile. It goes a very, very, very long way.
Love it.
We're smiling right now.
We are smiling as we speak. Excellent.
Cool. Well, thanks for that. Well, that's the first episode of season 2. There's plenty more coming your way. We've got a lot more that we're going to be talking about. We've got
loads of guests coming on, haven't we?
Yeah, loads of really exciting stuff coming soon. We hope you enjoyed season 1 and that season 2 is going to be even bigger and even better. So that's it from us this week. And if you are interested in obviously leaving us a review or letting us know what you think, you can do via Apple Podcasts or via www.howellfilm.co.uk. And you can find us also on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter and LinkedIn. And we'll be back next Tuesday. See you then.
Bye.
Bye.